Hello and welcome back to our next tutorial on how to build an exam in Vivo. Let's jump right in. In your course viewer, you'll firstly need to click Add an Exam, then type in the exam name and press OK to bring up the exam editor. Next is where you give the exam a title. And you can use the slider to select how many questions you'd like the exam to have. And then just press OK. As you can see, you then have the question list showing here on the left, and on the right is where you enter the question information. Start by selecting the question type. I'm going to go for a true or false question for the first one. Then just type in your question. And you can include any additional information here if required. Scroll down and you can select which answer is correct by simply checking the box. You've also got the option to add some media here, anything from a web link to an audio clip, or you could just leave it blank. I'm going to include an image to give my learners a visual reference for the question. You can import a new image or simply take one straight from your asset library, which is what I'm just doing. You can also add some feedback for this question, which will be shown to your learners after they complete the exam. You can fill that in just here. Next, let's edit question 2, and I'm going to make this one a multiple choice question. So once you've got your question in there, you'll need to fill in the possible answers. You can add as many answers as you like by pressing Add Option, or delete any extra options by pressing the X. Just type in the possible answers and select which one or ones are correct. You can also select whether you want them to appear in a random order. If you do want them to appear in the order you've written them, then just deselect this box. So now I've filled in my answers, I'm going to quickly add in one of my fish pictures for this question too. Using some video magic, I've now added in a third question, as you can see. So what we can do now is hop up here and preview how those questions will look to your learners. If we just flick through here, you can see that the questions appear in a random order at the moment. You can see how many questions there are in the exam as we've got the question grid showing, and you've also got a timer up here in the corner. If we just press OK and go back to our editor, we can find out how to adjust those bits. Starting with the exam settings, you can edit how you want your questions to appear. I'm going to actually keep them in a random order, but I'm not going to show the question grid, so I'll deselect that. I'd also like my learners to submit their answer after each question, not just at the end, so I'll have that ticked. You can of course set a time limit for the exam, which can be adjusted with the slider. I'm not going to have an exam timer, so I'll just untick that. You can see my exam is automatically marked out of 3, and that's because that's how many questions I've entered. However, you could, for example, have 100 questions but only mark out of 10, as in only show 10 questions to your learners, so you'd be creating a question bank to draw from. I'm going to mark out of 2 random questions for this exam and set my pass mark at 50%. You can then include some feedback too. Click Feedback Options and enter any feedback you'd like to give your learners depending on their results. I'm just actually going to use what's already included there. Last but not least, you can set categories for your questions. This is super helpful when it comes to analysing where your learners' strongest areas are and where they need to improve. Just add and name your categories here, then select which category each question belongs to in the question editor like this. Now your exam is ready to go. We'll be looking at how to track exam results in a couple of videos' time, so be sure to check back then. Next time though, we'll be incorporating some extra features into our course before we get to publish it to our lovely learners, so see you then.